Finally! The update we've waited almost a year for is here. Yes, Sonic Frontiers: The Final Horizon is dropped and significantly improves not only the ending of Frontiers, but adds an additional quarter of the game's overall gameplay for Sonic, which is where some of the more negative aspects of this update come from. And that's on top of adding fully playable characters for the first time since Sonic 06. Something that is hit or miss in a couple areas, but mostly really well done. So make no mistake, I'm not going to be one of the people bashing hard on this completely free update, because I actually do like it and think Sonic Team pulled through with a great overall job, despite the random insane difficulty spikes, which I definitely have a lot to say about. In fact, there's a lot I want to cover, as I think these past 3 updates, but especially this one, might be enough to completely change the perception and discourse around Sonic Frontiers, at least boosting it for any reviewer who has even half the amount of required skills for some of the platforming and trial challenges. So I'm going to break up my coverage into chapters, going over each topic, as there's a lot of different points to nail, and certain people might be looking for specific info, which I also want to pace out in the order you play the update in. So without further ado, drop a like, it's a free way to support me, helps the video get seen more, subscribe so it helps you see my videos more, and set the bell to all so you actually see my videos right when they drop, so you're fresh on the Sonic news. And if you're really a special star, join my Discord. I not only also post my video releases there, but we're also forming a pretty epic small little community. Chill over. See, that wasn't so bad. So with that, let's get into the first topic: playable characters, specifically Amy. That's right, Amy is back, and this is easily the best she's played ever. Now, spoiler, I'm not going to be as positive towards the other characters as I am towards Amy, but they absolutely nailed her here. So the first thing you'll see when thrown into this update, after a brief cutscene, which I'll of course cover the story later in its own section, but right out of the gate, you'll immediately find yourself playing as Amy, who, just like Sonic in the beginning of Frontiers, is level 1 and has quite literally no skills unlocked.
Do I have a hammer? I can't hit. Maybe I have to unlock that. I can't hit.
However, and we'll compare it to the other characters' traversal when we get there, but Amy's is easily the best. She has a glide that's almost as good as Tails, but she also has this insane jump, a lot of powerful attacks, and most importantly is she has a homing attack, which you might think isn't even worth mentioning. However, when we get to Tails, that's a huge factor of his
utter demise.
I've seen a little bit of early criticism online about the voice acting, with many saying it's much worse than the base game, but honestly, I didn't really notice anything. I think this is on par, if not better, as we're seeing all the characters get emotional and get broken down by the cyberspace, and not just Sonic.
People are saying, did they change the voice actors? They sound different. No, I think they're the same. Everything with Ben sounds about the same to me.
Now, Amy, just like all the characters with no skills unlocked, is pretty weak. She can't even attack initially. However, you have to remember, at the very beginning of Frontiers, Sonic could only do his basic punch attack, and that's just because he's got that dog in him. I knew she had the tarot card attack, but I didn't realize how important the cards were going to be to her personality here. Something I covered in the other video on Amy, where one of the messages is quite literally how having tarot cards isn't a personality, unless they want to make her cool, fun goth Amy. But after Amy, we get into rougher than the rest of them, the best of them, Knuckles the Echidna, who, and this is kind of a controversial take, but I think actually plays really well. Now, there are some immediate quirks I have to address, and one is that to use his glide, there's an animation before it, so it takes a second to start it up. However, this is something you just get used to, and once you get used to it, it really isn't a big deal or really affects the gameplay at all. Now, previously when this leaked, I was predicting a meta would be to climb up someplace high as Knuckles, and then finesse the game and glide to wherever you have to go, without having to do any of the obstacles or platforming around the objective.
I predicted the meta was going to be trying to climb as high as you can in this update and just glide down, and that might be it.
And just like almost all the predictions, it came true. And I was able to finesse a lot of the Knuckles stages through that.
Let's go. Finesse gang. Dude, that just saved me so much time.
In fact, all the new playable characters have a glide, so I was able to finesse a lot of this new update and sneak through and break it, basically speedrunning strats, which, while yes, I know
isn't the intended way it's made to be played,
I thought it was really fun, and I even had a lot of fun just trying to circumvent the way it was made to be played. Kishimoto, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry, man. Now, a lot of people think the glide plays like a car and is really hard to handle. I personally didn't have any struggle with it, but I could see how some people have a hard hard time with it.
Yeah, Knuckles doesn't play nearly as good as Amy.
I feel like if they were to try Knuckles again in the next game, which I know they want to take in an adventure route, I hope they do more than throw him back in a find the key or emerald missions. As Frontiers proves, he's a lot more capable than just a treasure hunter, and also shows to incorporate all these characters in a Sonic's format is really fun. Now, the third and final character is easily the most bittersweet, and that's Tails the Fox. So you see, Tails flies pretty well. He also has a little delay, and that definitely could be better. His flying is at best a 6 out of 10. But what's not great about it is when you're flying, you have to use flying in quotation marks because you're more so just gliding like everyone else, except you do this little boost jump a couple seconds after you hold the fly button, which Amy does a boost jump immediately and glides, so while hers doesn't last as long, it's at least more responsive and easy to platform with. And since Tails is only gliding, he's not able to increase his elevation or really fly up at all, so it doesn't make platforming that much easier.
Okay, who would have thought Tails is the worst part?
A good majority of the objectives and things you're doing in this game are character specific, so most of the times I was playing as Tails, I was just kind of wishing I was anyone else. Now, the sweet part to this bittersweet character is Tails supposedly plays pretty nice when you get this tornado mech, which is ripped just from Sonic Adventure, something I don't mind. I love that. And while it definitely is an improvement, I still wouldn't say it drastically changes the character because it requires a lot of skill points to get. So you very well could just beat the whole thing without getting that. So it's basically just post-game content.
There's like a homing attack indicator, but I don't think I can do anything with it. I don't have a homing attack. I am the only character to not have a homing attack. Tails is, yeah, Amy is easily the most powerful.
Again, with no homing attack, Tails really doesn't stand up to any of the other new playable characters.
That's so comedic. Oh my god. Are you seeing this?
And him just throwing wrenches is not that useful. And the couple times where it is useful, it's for balloons that just respawn instantly in front of you. Something that's kind of tedious and annoying.
Oh my god, can I do it? Oh my god.
And with Tails being the last playable character, it really just shows how goated they made Amy and how nerfed Sonic is. With him not being able to glide, he basically can't do anything they can.
Yeah, Tails is the worst playable character, Knuckles is like second worst, and Amy's actually good. Like, they actually cooked with Amy.
Regardless of the three characters, Kishimoto has said the next game he wants to make will be adventure styled, and these updates are a way to test out these features. And with there now being a really great spin dash and a ton of well fleshed out multiple playable characters, which by the way were added for free in an update, I actually have a lot of faith in Sonic Team and this whatever adventure styled game they make next. Which I know everyone's going,
Sonic Cycle, here we go again. He's putting faith in Sonic Team.
but I've never been one to hype up mid. I bashed on Forces. I know they didn't make Sonic Colors Ultimate, but that's the first one I was here to cover, and I bashed on that too. And I was skeptical about Frontiers until we saw gameplay, so I'm not one to have blind faith, but I kind of have blind faith in Kishimoto and Sonic Team. As long as the art direction of the game is significantly better than Frontiers, I think they're really cooking. Again, this is the first true return to multiple playable characters since Sonic 06. And while I think characters like Tails could definitely use a little work, I still think everyone here controls far better than their Sonic 06 counterparts, meaning we're truly in the calm before the storm of a genuine, authentic return to the adventure formula. Something I think almost everyone wants. Even Kishimoto and Azuka want it, as it's certainly gonna print them money. And look at us, who would have thought? Unironically, having faith in Kishimoto and Sonic Team? What can I say? It's been a crazy couple years. But moving on back to the gameplay. After getting the first wave of emeralds as Tails, we get to Sonic, and that's easily the most divisive part of the game, because up until now, it's been fun, more or less like the base game of Frontiers, but now we find out whether you're a man or not. Even if you're a girl, are you man enough for this? Because holy fuck, the Sonic sections are unbelievably hard, and not consistently. Some parts are way easier than others. In fact, I'd say as you progress, it gets way easier. But there's a couple sections early on that will really grow some hair on your chest. The first one, and this one was so bad, it made me quit my stream.
This is the part that kills me. Oh my god. The pads, you have to not hit the power things. I think that's it for this.
I just couldn't do it, and I was playing for hours. My brain was just broken. But the first tower is not too bad actually, but there's one part that's just insanely difficult. And the reason is you have to spin dash, and no one would ever think to do this. In fact, when you're spin dashing, it feels so risky, it feels wrong, it feels dirty, but it's what you have to do to complete it. So after doing the decently difficult platforming, you get to the top and do the first trial, easy peasy. Maybe it takes 2 attempts, maybe you have to bump down the difficulty, I don't know, but you get it done. It's not too bad. However, the second tower, that's where complications ensue, and it gets rough. Now, I should disclaim, I was able to complete the tower on the first time and get to the top. However, there's certain parts of this that if you mess up, you basically have to reload your save because they won't respawn, so you just are screwed. However, again, I didn't find the second tower that difficult, so I was able to beat it. However, once you get to the top and have to do the second trial, that's when things get wet and wild. And you might be saying, why wet and wild? That's because this stage lubes you up and fucks you in the ass. I had to go into a VC and get physically shown how to complete this. There's only basically 1 or 2 ways you can do it, and the second way is really close and on the wire. It's basically impossible to do. And you have to finesse the umbrella enemies with the parry. It's so difficult, and you have such a short time limit, which, to throw salt in your face, after this, on one of the towers, you get to fight just a ninja for like 10 minutes. And obviously you're going to beat him in less than 3 because it doesn't take that long. It's not that difficult. And I believe that's the 4th tower, which makes me wonder, who paced this? Did they test this at all? I know they were really worried about leaks getting out, which is hilarious with how much they put in the update 2 files. But regardless, there is no quality control. All the designs and trials feel like they were made by a kid in Halo Reach's Forge mode. And with the difficulty spike in the first tower and the second trial, with the 3rd and 4th tower not even really being significant or worth talking about since they weren't that difficult, it makes me seriously, like, not a joke, no bit, wonder, did anyone outside Kishimoto and a handful of his friends quality control this update? What percentage of people were even able to beat it? Now, it may seem like I'm being negative, however, I gotta be real. Complete honesty here, we deserve this. I was one of the people that complained about Frontiers being an easy baby game, and even though the difficulty spikes and platforming sections did frustrate me and put me in a state of seething and malding, when reflecting on it, this is exactly what we asked for. And for it to be the absolute final post-game content, I actually appreciated that they didn't cave in and make it super easy. And while there's definitely some balancing issues, especially in that second trial, I'd rather be frustrated and feel accomplished afterwards when completing a section rather than blaze through it bored. But that's just for the towers and trials. Frankly, Trial 2 wouldn't be that bad if instead of 2 minutes, you had a 10-minute time limit, and for the ninja, instead of 10, you had 2. Regardless of the towers and the trials, what is bullshit is the boss rush that wiped out quite literally everyone. This got Fidel to stop streaming, and Sam was able to persevere through it, but I glanced over at a second monitor and he was on this for hours. This was insanely difficult. I'll be honest, this is where I called it quits for a good few hours. So with 400 rings, you have to beat all of the titans from the main game, which with the stomp and a couple other techniques is doable. But man, is this hard. I have no regret shutting down my stream, even though I did it so early at the towers, because I would have been screaming, malding. I was losing my mind. I needed a break. I needed to eat. If I had to endure this rage on an empty stomach, who knows how badly I'd get canceled. But this boss rush trial is easily the hardest part about this update, and while it's not the end and is right before it, this difficulty spike is just so insane. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter making this joke. I've been tempted too, but a lot of people are going,
man, there's no way the kids are gonna beat this. They are so screwed.
The reality is they're probably way better at this than we are. We're screwed. Now, let's get into the story and ending. Now, the story change is something I'm seeing widely regarded as positive, but it's nothing to write home about. It's neither great and amazing, nor bad and terrible, but just neutral. I mean, the end is now at least an actual Titan thing, instead of playing Ikaruga with a purple moon. So that's an obvious improvement. Granted, not that crazy original, and definitely not that creative. However, you fight him as a new form. What is this form called? We'll probably find out in the coming days, but since it just released, nobody knows. My theory is that it's going to be called Perfect Sonic, so until we get an official name, game. I'm just gonna call it that. And we also get to see a few seconds, just a little glimpse of a new Sonic. Maybe this is the cyber one, who knows, but he goes full blackface and gets ready to wallop, but out of fear of cancellation, only lets us see him for a few seconds. Seeing more of the ancients is always good. They kind of push the Coco's Elder's hand to give you this power, just for you to defeat the End Titan, meaning who knows what other power these Coco have, which is something they'll probably explore in future titles, or future DLC if they decide to do paid ones, with how good the reception of this is. And by good, I mean a lot of downloads, but also from what I'm seeing, a lot of people are mad and do not like this update at all. I think Cyber Sonic is a little too generic of a name. I hope they do something more creative than that, but this is also Sonic Team we're talking about, and translations, so for all we know, it'll have a way cooler name in Japanese, and we'll get stuck with Cyber Sonic. Another thing I want to touch on is the music. Now, having completed this, I likely haven't heard all of the 40 new tracks, as I assume every single cyberspace stage has a new song, but so far I've liked everything I heard. The only one that I was a little mixed on was Otani's Trap Kronos remix, as that gets old a little quickly. Bro, Kishimoto heard Lil Uzi Vert and was like, Otani, make it like Lil Uzi Vert. However, Kellen Quinn on I'm Here was so fire. I'm sorry to Octavia, but this version is way better. And I'm incredibly biased because I was a Sleeping with Sirens fan, and a lot of the cuts and the character themes were all really good. I'm really excited for the soundtrack to release so I can see everything I missed, and find the one or two gems that just nobody plays but are amazing tracks.
This drum and bass song is awesome.
Overall, I just wanted to make this video quickly because I am so sleep deprived. But I truly think this update is fantastic despite how hard it can be, and I think it indicates a great direction that Sonic's going in as a brand. And with the adventure formula on the horizon, I actually trust what they're going to do with playable characters, and I'm not just looking forward to the Sonic and Shadow mode. These past 3 updates have not only shown a commitment to making Frontiers a vastly better game, but also shows they finally have a capable team to make a really good 3D Sonic game. And with the right people in charge, they actually might nail this next adventure title. Words I never thought I would say. While the ending changes weren't that fantastical or mind-blowing, and seeing the cyber form at the very end was kind of expected, and I kind of wish looked better. But at the end of the day, these are really small details in the grand scope of everything included in this free update, which of course, very hard, but overall, very fun. To get this whole island with 3 different characters and stuff just littered everywhere is really cool, especially with how empty Uranos was before that. They stuffed it like a turkey. So yeah, if you want my thoughts, I'm happy. I like the update. I know a lot of people aren't, and if you don't, that's fine. I respect your opinion either way. Comment your thoughts below. I'm genuinely curious. I'm kind of surprised with how many people are mad about this update, so maybe you're furious and fuming too. Who knows? Join the Discord, follow my Instagram. I'm still not on Twitter. And the Instagram stories disappear after 24 hours, so you gotta get there and see them before they're gone. I refuse to give this a number score, but hypothetically, if I were to, I'd give it a 8 out of 10. Great DLC, great fun. Sonic Frontiers, lots of love, forever, and peace. Peace!
Wow.